rejected in front of the entire pack. Crowned Luna by the rival Alpha, the same night. Chapter 1. The morning began with shouting. "Aurelia!" She flinched. A bowl slipped from her hands. It shattered across the kitchen floor. The head cook groaned. "Wonderful. Just wonderful. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix dishes." Aurelia immediately knelt. Her fingers moved quickly. She gathered the broken pieces, while servants rushed around her. Nobody offered help. Nobody ever did. She was used to that. Being invisible had become part of life. At 22, she had no family, no rank, no wolf. Most pack members shifted before their 18th birthday. Aurelia never had. The absence of a wolf made her an embarrassment, an outsider, an omega without purpose. At least that was what everyone said. A sharp pain shot through her finger. A piece of glass had cut her skin. A drop of blood landed on the floor. Something strange happened. The nearby kitchen herbs suddenly released a strong scent. Lavender, rosemary, mint. The fragrance exploded through the room. Several servants looked around in confusion. Aurelia quickly wiped away the blood. The scent vanished. Nobody noticed. Or at least she hoped they didn't. The head cook pointed toward a tray. "Take breakfast to the Alpha house." Her stomach tightened. "Me? Do you see anyone else standing there?" Aurelia nodded. "Yes, sir. The Alpha house, the one place she tried to avoid. Because Alpha Ronin lived there, and being near him always hurt." She balanced the tray carefully. The walk through the village felt longer than usual. Warriors trained in the center square. Children chased each other through the streets. Life continued normally, but whispers followed her everywhere. Still no wolf. Poor thing. She's cursed. Aurelia kept walking. She pretended not to hear. Years of practice made that easy. The guards allowed her inside the Alpha house. She lowered her gaze and entered. The scent hit her immediately. Pine, rain, wolf, Ronin. Her heart betrayed her every time. A deep voice echoed from another room. "No!" Ronin sounded irritated. "I've already made my decision." Another voice answered. "An elder. The ceremony is tomorrow. Then tomorrow I'll reject her." Aurelia froze. The tray almost slipped. Reject her? Who? She carefully stepped closer. Not enough to be seen. Just enough to hear. The elder sighed. "The moon goddess chose Elara." Ronin laughed coldly. The moon goddess made a mistake. Aurelia's chest tightened. Elara. Beautiful. Powerful. Daughter of an influential elder. If Ronin could reject someone like Elara, what chance did anyone else have? The elder lowered his voice. "People won't understand. I don't care. You need a Luna. I need loyalty." Silence followed. Then Ronin spoke again. "If I haven't found her by now, she isn't here." Aurelia quickly moved away. Before they noticed her, minutes later she delivered the food and hurried outside. Her pulse refused to calm. Tomorrow was the moonbond ceremony. The entire pack would attend. And apparently Ronin intended to reject his destined mate. The thought felt wrong. Dangerous. But she couldn't explain why. That afternoon, strange things began happening. First came the ravens. Hundreds of them. They circled above the village, watching, waiting. Nobody knew why. Then, the sacred moonstone cracked. Half the pack rushed to see it. The priests called it a terrible omen. By sunset, everyone was nervous. By nightfall, everyone was afraid. Aurelia returned to her tiny servant quarters. The room was barely larger than a storage closet, but it was hers. She lit a candle, sat on the edge of her bed, and stared at the small wooden box hidden beneath it. The box held the only thing her mother had left behind. A silver necklace. Nothing special. At least that was what Aurelia always believed. She opened the box. The necklace glowed. Aurelia immediately stood. Her breath caught. The silver chain was shining. Soft blue light pulsed from its center. For the first time in her life, the necklace was alive. A knock slammed against her door. Once, twice, 3 times. Aurelia quickly hid the necklace. "Who is it?" No answer. Another knock. Harder this time. Fear crawled up her spine. Slowly she approached the door. The hallway outside was dark, silent, empty. She opened it anyway. No one stood there, but something had been left on the floor. A folded piece of black parchment. Her hands shook as she opened it. Only one sentence was written inside. Tomorrow night, they will finally find you. Aurelia stared at the message. Then she noticed the symbol stamped beneath it, a silver crown, and a wolf she had never seen before. The symbol belonged to a pack that should not have known she existed. The symbol of the feared rival Alpha known as the Shadow King. And somehow, he was looking for her. Chapter 2. Aurelia barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the black parchment, the silver crown, the strange warning. Tomorrow night, they will finally find you. Who was they, and why would anyone be looking for her? By dawn, her head ached from thinking. The necklace remained hidden beneath her pillow. Even now, faint blue light leaked through the cloth. She had never seen anything like it. Not once in 22 years. A loud bell echoed across Moonfall, the ceremony bell. Today was the day. The Moon Bond ceremony. The day Alpha Ronin would publicly accept his mate, or reject her. The entire pack was already talking about it. Aurelia joined the morning rush toward the village square. Nobody paid attention to her. That was normal. But something else wasn't. The ravens had returned. Hundreds of them. They covered rooftops, trees, stone walls, watching silently. An old woman crossed herself. The birds know, another whispered. The moon is angry. Aurelia looked away. Something inside her stomach twisted. The feeling grew stronger with every hour, as if danger was moving closer. Waiting. Watching. By afternoon, the square was packed. Torches burned. Musicians played. Warriors stood guard. The entire territory had gathered. Aurelia remained near the back, hidden among servants. That was where she belonged. At least, that's what she told herself. Then the ceremony began. The crowd fell silent. Alpha Ronin stepped onto the stone platform. Every eye followed him. He looked powerful, untouchable. His black ceremonial coat carried the silver crest of Moonfall. Women stared openly. Men straightened respectfully. Even elders lowered their heads. That was Ronin's effect on people. Then Alara appeared, the chosen mate, the future Luna, or at least she should have been. Her beauty drew immediate attention. Golden hair, confident smile, perfect posture. Aurelia watched the pair stand before the sacred flame. The priest raised his hands. The moon goddess has chosen. The crowd cheered. The flame burned silver. Everything looked normal. Until it didn't. The moment Ronin touched Alara's hand, the fire exploded. Black. The same color from the cold open? No. Worse. Much worse. Gasps erupted. The sacred flame climbed several feet into the air. Then every torch around the square went out. Darkness swallowed the gathering. People screamed. Children cried. Warriors reached for weapons. The priest stumbled backward. This isn't possible. The black fire twisted violently, almost alive. Then Ronin spoke. His voice was cold. I reject this bond. Alara froze. What? I reject it. The words echoed across the square. The crowd exploded into chaos. No! Alara grabbed his arm. You can't. I just did. Ronin! I won't repeat myself. Tears filled her eyes. Humiliation spread across her face. Thousands were watching. Thousands. Aurelia felt terrible for her. Nobody deserved that. Not even Alara. Then something impossible happened. The sacred flame moved. Not physically, but intentionally. The black fire stretched across the platform, like a living creature searching. The priest's face drained of color. It's looking for someone. What? An elder asked. The old priest pointed into the crowd. The fire shot forward, straight toward Aurelia. People screamed and jumped aside. The black flame rushed between them. Aurelia couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The fire stopped directly in front of her. The entire square went silent. Thousands of eyes turned toward her. "No," Aurelia whispered. The priests stared. The elders stared. Ronan stared. Everyone stared. The black fire suddenly turned silver. Brilliant. Beautiful. The brightest silver anyone had ever seen. Shock spread through the crowd. The priest's voice trembled. The true mate. Aurelia's heart stopped. No. No, no. This couldn't happen. The old priest slowly pointed at her. The moon goddess chose Aurelia. Silence. Then laughter. Cruel laughter. The same laughter from the cold open. It spread through the crowd immediately. A servant? Impossible. An Omega? She doesn't even have a wolf. People laughed harder. Aurelia wanted the ground to open beneath her. She wanted to disappear. The priest looked confused. The elders looked horrified. Alara looked furious. And Ronan looked directly at her. For a brief second, their eyes met. Aurelia saw shock there. Then something else. Disappointment. The sight hurt more than she expected. The crowd kept laughing. Some openly pointed. Others mocked her clothes. Her status. Her life. Aurelia stood frozen while humiliation crushed her from every side. Then Ronan stepped forward. The square immediately quieted. Everyone waited. Everyone knew what came next. Aurelia knew too. Still, part of her hoped. Just a tiny part. Maybe he would surprise her. Maybe he would see her. Maybe, "I reject this bond." The words hit harder than any blade. Aurelia stopped breathing. The crowd erupted. Cheers, laughter, applause. Every sound felt like another wound. The priest looked alarmed. "Alpha, think carefully." "I already have." "The goddess. I reject her." Ronan's gaze never softened. Not even once. "She is not my Luna." Aurelia lowered her head. She couldn't let anyone see the tears. Not here. Not in front of everyone. Not after this. The crowd continued celebrating, as if her humiliation were entertainment. Then the necklace beneath her dress became hot. Painfully hot. Aurelia gasped. Blue light burst through the fabric. People noticed immediately. The cheering stopped. "What is that?" "Look. The necklace." The light grew brighter. 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 A powerful wind suddenly swept through the square. The ravens screamed. Every single one of them. At the same time. Then came the howl. A distant howl. Not from Moonfall. Not from any nearby territory. Far away. Yet somehow close enough to shake the ground. Every wolf in the square stiffened. Fear flashed across countless faces. One warrior whispered the name first. Then another. Then another. The Shadow King. Aurelia's blood turned cold. The feared alpha of the northern territories. The ruler nobody challenged. The man packs warned their children about. The same man whose symbol appeared on the parchment. Another howl echoed. Closer. Much closer. Then a scout came running through the village gates. Covered in dust. Terrified. He dropped to one knee before Ronan. "Alpha, what is it?" The scout swallowed hard. "A massive army has entered our borders." The entire square froze. Ronan's expression darkened. "Whose army?" The scout looked directly at Aurelia, then back at Ronan, and answered with shaking lips. "The Shadow King says he's here for his queen." And every eye in Moonfall turned toward Aurelia once again. Chapter 3. Silence fell over the square. Not normal silence. The kind that comes before disaster. Aurelia felt thousands of eyes on her. Her legs threatened to give out. The scout remained kneeling, breathing hard. Sweat covered his face. "The Shadow King sent the message himself," he continued. "He said he would arrive before midnight." An elder stepped forward. "This is madness." Another nodded. Why would he want her? Nobody had an answer. Because nobody understood. Aurelia least of all. Ronan's gaze shifted toward her again. For the first time all day, he wasn't looking through her. He was actually looking at her, studying her, as if seeing her for the first time. But it was too late for that. Far too late. The priest raised his voice. This gathering is over. People immediately began talking. Arguments broke out everywhere. Fear spread through the crowd. The Shadow King was not a man who traveled without reason, and he certainly didn't move an army for no reason. Aurelia slipped away while everyone was distracted. She needed air, space, anything. Her chest hurt. Her thoughts hurt. Everything hurt. She hurried through the village streets until the noise faded behind her. Only when she reached the river did she finally stop. The water moved quietly beneath the moonlight. For a moment, she simply stood there, breathing, trying not to cry. Trying not to think about Ronan's rejection. Trying not to think about the mysterious Alpha coming for her. Trying not to think at all. You shouldn't be alone. The voice startled her. Aurelia turned. Ronan stood several feet away. Her heart instantly betrayed her. Even now, even after everything, it still reacted to him. She hated that. I'll be fine, she said softly. Ronan remained where he was. Neither moved. The distance between them felt enormous. I didn't know it was you. Aurelia laughed bitterly. The sound surprised even her. You didn't know I existed. His jaw tightened. That's not true. It is. Silence followed. The river flowed between them. Aurelia stared at the water. Anything was easier than looking at him. Finally he spoke again. The Shadow King. She stiffened. What about him? Have you ever met him? No. She should tell him, shouldn't she? Yet something stopped her. A strange instinct. A feeling deep inside. No. The lie came out before she could stop it. Ronan studied her face. Too carefully. As if he knew. But he didn't push. Instead he asked another question. Do you know why he's coming? Aurelia shook her head. No. For once, that answer was true. Ronan looked toward the dark horizon. His expression grew colder. If he threatens moonfall, I'll stop him. The confidence in his voice should have been reassuring. Instead, it worried her. Because everyone knew the Shadow King wasn't an ordinary alpha. Stories about him existed everywhere. Stories of impossible victories, broken armies, defeated rivals, entire territories surrendering without a fight. People feared him for a reason. Aurelia finally looked at Ronan. You think he's dangerous? It wasn't a question. Ronan didn't answer immediately. That alone gave her the answer. Then a scream echoed through the night. Both of them turned instantly. The scream came from the village. Another followed. Then another. Ronan moved first. He shifted into his wolf mid-stride. Massive, black, powerful. Aurelia had seen his wolf before, yet the sight still stole her breath. Within seconds, he disappeared toward the village. Aurelia ran after him. By the time she arrived, chaos had erupted. People crowded the center square. Warriors surrounded something. Or someone. Aurelia pushed through the gathering. Gasps filled the air. Fear, shock, confusion. Then she saw why. A man stood in the center of the square. Alone. Completely alone. No army. No guards. No weapons. Just one man. Tall, broad-shouldered. Dressed entirely in black. His silver eyes scanned the crowd calmly, as if hundreds of armed warriors meant nothing. Aurelia immediately knew who he was. The Shadow King. Nobody had to tell her. The air itself felt different around him. Heavy, dangerous, powerful. Warriors pointed spears at him. He didn't seem concerned, not even slightly. Ronan stepped forward. Human once more. The crowd parted instantly. The two alphas faced each other. The tension was immediate, sharp enough to cut skin. You crossed my borders. The Shadow King smiled faintly. And yet here I am. Several warriors growled. Ronan's expression hardened. You brought an army. Insurance. You threatened my territory. I made a promise. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Then, the Shadow King's silver eyes traveled through the crowd, searching, looking, until they found Aurelia. Everything stopped. The moment his gaze landed on her, something changed. His expression, his posture, even the air. A strange warmth spread through Aurelia's necklace. The blue light returned beneath her dress, brighter than before. The Shadow King took one step forward. Warriors immediately blocked his path. He ignored them. His eyes never left hers. Aurelia's pulse thundered. Why was he looking at her like that? As if he knew her. As if he had been searching for her forever. The crowd noticed too. Whispers exploded. He found her. What is happening? Why her? The Shadow King finally spoke. Only 4 words, yet they stunned everyone, including Aurelia. I've found you, princess. The square erupted. Princess? People looked at Aurelia, then at him, then back at Aurelia. Confusion spread everywhere. Ronan stepped forward immediately. What did you call her? The Shadow King's attention briefly shifted. His voice remained calm. The last surviving heir. Aurelia's heart nearly stopped. No. The word escaped her lips. This had to be a mistake. A misunderstanding. A lie. Her parents had been servants. Poor. Ordinary. Nothing more. The Shadow King slowly reached into his coat. Warriors tensed. Instead of a weapon, he removed an old piece of parchment. Ancient. Worn. He held it up for everyone to see. A royal crest marked the center. The exact same crest, engraved on Aurelia's glowing necklace. The crowd gasped. Aurelia stared, her vision blurred. The symbols matched perfectly. Every line, every detail, every mark. Impossible. The Shadow King looked directly at her. You were stolen as a child. Aurelia couldn't breathe. No. Your family was murdered. No. You were hidden. No. His expression softened slightly. Not much. Just enough. But you were never forgotten. Tears filled Aurelia's eyes. Everything she believed about herself suddenly felt unstable. False. Wrong. The ground beneath her life was cracking apart. Then another voice interrupted. A furious voice. Ilara, he's lying. Everyone turned. She pushed through the crowd. Her face twisted with anger. If she were important, someone would have known. The Shadow King glanced at her. Unimpressed. Then he spoke a single sentence. One sentence that changed everything. I have proof. The entire square went silent. But before he could reveal it, an arrow shot from the darkness, straight toward Aurelia's heart. Chapter 4. Everything happened too fast. 1 second, Aurelia was standing in the crowd. The next, death was flying toward her. People screamed. Warriors shouted. The arrow cut through the air. Straight for her heart. Aurelia froze. She couldn't move. Couldn't think. Then someone slammed into her. Hard. The impact threw her to the ground. The arrow missed by inches. It struck the stone behind her with a violent crack. Aurelia looked up. The Shadow King was crouched beside her. One arm wrapped around her shoulders. Protecting her. His silver eyes scanned the crowd immediately. Dangerous. Alert. Searching for the attacker. Stay down. His voice was calm. But underneath it lurked something terrifying. Rage. Pure rage. Aurelia's pulse raced. The crowd exploded into chaos. Warriors rushed everywhere. People scattered. Children cried. Ronan barked orders. Seal the gates. The village immediately erupted into motion. But the attacker was already gone. Vanished. Like a ghost. The Shadow King slowly stood. His hand remained on Aurelia's shoulder, as if making sure she was still there. Still alive. Still breathing. Something about the gesture surprised her. This powerful stranger barely knew her, yet he had risked himself without hesitation. Why? The question burned inside her. Then she noticed something else. The broken arrow. The Shadow King's expression darkened instantly when he saw it. Ronan noticed too. What is it? The Shadow King walked toward the arrow, picked it up, examined the shaft. For the first time since arriving, genuine concern appeared in his eyes. This shouldn't be here. Ronan frowned. What does that mean? The Shadow King looked toward Aurelia. His answer chilled everyone. It means whoever shot this knows exactly who she is. The crowd fell silent again. Aurelia felt sick. What are you talking about? The Shadow King turned the arrow. A strange symbol had been carved into the wood. A silver moon, broken in half. His jaw tightened. I haven't seen this mark in 20 years. Aurelia swallowed. What mark? The Shadow King hesitated, as if choosing his words carefully. The men who murdered your family carried this symbol. The world tilted. Aurelia stared at him, unable to speak, unable to process. Murdered. Family. The words echoed inside her head. No. Her voice cracked. My parents died from illness. The Shadow King looked at her sadly. No, princess. Princess. Again. The title felt wrong. Impossible. Yet somehow, he said it with certainty. Like it was fact. Like it belonged to her. You were lied to. The crowd murmured nervously. Aurelia's breathing became uneven. Everything she knew was unraveling. Every memory. Every truth. Every part of her life. The Shadow King stepped closer, his voice lowered. Your parents were not servants. Aurelia shook her head. They were. No. They raised me. They protected you. The difference struck her immediately. Protected. Not raised. Protected. A cold feeling spread through her chest. The Shadow King continued. Your adoptive parents saved your life. Aurelia felt tears forming again. The couple who raised her had died years ago. They had loved her, protected her, sacrificed everything for her. And now she was learning they had carried a secret to their graves. Why? Why hide the truth? Why hide her? The Shadow King looked toward the sky. The ravens still circled above the village, watching, waiting, almost as if they understood. Then he said something even stranger. They knew this day would come. Aurelia blinked. What? The day your blood awakened. The necklace beneath her dress suddenly grew warm. Again. The Shadow King's eyes immediately dropped to it. He noticed. Of course he noticed. What necklace are you wearing? Aurelia instinctively stepped back. Protective. Suspicious. The necklace was the only thing left from her mother. Or whoever her mother really was. The Shadow King's gaze softened. Just slightly. You don't have to fear me. The statement should have sounded comforting. Instead it made several warriors laugh bitterly. This was the Shadow King. Entire territories feared him. Yet somehow he seemed more concerned about frightening Aurelia than anything else. Ronan noticed it too. His eyes narrowed. The tension between the two alphas grew stronger, sharper, more personal. Then Alara suddenly stepped forward. You expect us to believe all this? Nobody answered. She pointed directly at Aurelia. She's a servant. The words stung. Alara continued. She has no wolf. Another sting. No title. Another. No power. Another. No proof. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Some agreed. Others looked uncertain. The Shadow King listened quietly. Then he asked a simple question. Do you want proof? Alara crossed her arms. Yes. The Shadow King smiled. For the first time since arriving. And somehow that smile made Aurelia nervous. Because it wasn't a pleasant smile. It was the smile of a man who already knew he would win. He turned toward Aurelia. Take off the necklace. Aurelia froze. The entire crowd watched, waiting. The necklace felt heavier suddenly. As if it understood. As if it didn't want to leave her. But slowly, carefully, she removed it. The moment the chain left her skin, the blue stone blazed. Light exploded across the square. People gasped. The necklace floated upward. By itself. Aurelia stumbled backward. Nobody touched it. Nobody controlled it. The stone rose higher. Brighter. 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 Then a beam of blue light shot into the sky. The night itself seemed to split apart. Clouds scattered. Stars appeared. And something materialized inside the light. An image. Huge. Visible to everyone. A woman. Beautiful. Regal. Wearing a silver crown. The crowd fell completely silent. The woman's face looked familiar. Terrifyingly familiar. Aurelia's breath caught. Because she was looking at her own face. Older. Stronger. Royal. But unmistakably similar. The woman in the vision spoke. Her voice echoed across the village, across the mountains, across the night. If you are seeing this, Aurelia couldn't breathe. The woman continued. My daughter lives. The crowd gasped. Several elders nearly collapsed. The image turned toward Aurelia and smiled sadly. My little star. Aurelia's knees weakened. That voice. Something inside her recognized it. Some buried memory, some forgotten piece of childhood. Tears spilled down her face. The woman lifted a hand. I pray I was able to protect you. The image flickered. The woman's expression became urgent, fearful. There is something you must know. The crowd leaned closer. Even Ronan. Even the Shadow King. Everyone listened. The woman took a breath, then revealed the secret that changed everything. The man who ordered our deaths. The image suddenly glitched. The light shook violently. The woman looked horrified. No. The vision distorted. Something was interfering. The woman tried again. The man who betrayed us is... The image shattered. Gone. The light vanished. Darkness returned. Silence followed. Aurelia stared upward, heartbroken. She had been seconds away from the truth. Seconds. Then a voice emerged from the crowd. A trembling voice. Old. Terrified. One of Moonfall's eldest elders stepped forward. His face had gone completely pale. His eyes were fixed on Aurelia, and he whispered words that froze every person present. I know who her mother was. The entire village turned toward him. But the elder wasn't looking at Aurelia anymore. He was staring at Alpha Ronan, and he looked absolutely terrified. Chapter 5. The elder's hands were shaking, not slightly, violently, as if he had just seen a ghost. The entire square watched him, waiting. Nobody dared speak. Even the wind seemed to stop. Ronan took a step forward. What do you know? The elder swallowed hard. His face had lost all color. For several seconds he couldn't answer. Then he looked directly at Aurelia. Tears filled his eyes. I never thought I'd see her again. Aurelia's chest tightened. See who? The old man pointed toward the sky, toward where the vision had appeared. Your mother. A murmur spread through the crowd. The Shadow King's attention sharpened immediately. You knew Queen Selene? The elder closed his eyes. Queen. The words struck Aurelia like lightning. Queen. Not servant. Not healer. Not ordinary. Queen. The old man nodded slowly. Long ago. The Shadow King stepped closer. His expression had become deadly serious. Tell them. The elder looked around nervously, almost afraid of being overheard, almost afraid of the truth itself. Then he finally spoke. 23 years ago, there was a kingdom called Silvercrest. The crowd listened carefully. Many younger wolves looked confused. They had never heard the name, but the older wolves had. Aurelia could see it in their faces. Fear, recognition, regret. The elder continued. Silvercrest united 6 territories. Gasps erupted. 6 territories? That was enormous. No pack ruled that much land. Not anymore. The elder nodded. Queen Selene and King Orion built peace between enemies. The Shadow King's expression softened briefly, as if he remembered them, as if he had loved them. Then the elder's face darkened. But peace created powerful enemies. Silence. The crowd leaned closer. Aurelia barely breathed. Every word felt important. Every word felt connected to her. The royal family was betrayed. The elder's voice cracked. One night their castle burned. Aurelia's heart pounded. The king died. The elder lowered his head. The queen disappeared. A long pause followed. Then he whispered. And their infant daughter vanished. No one spoke. No one needed to. Everyone understood. The missing daughter. The lost princess. Aurelia. The realization spread through the square. Shock after shock. The elder looked at her. His eyes were full of sorrow. You. Aurelia felt dizzy. This couldn't be real, could it? Her entire life had been ordinary, painful, lonely, small. Now suddenly people were telling her she belonged to a fallen kingdom. It felt impossible, yet the necklace, The vision, the warning, everything pointed toward the same truth. The Shadow King finally spoke. Her name was hidden to protect her. The elder nodded. Yes. Aurelia looked between them. How do you know all this? The Shadow King met her gaze. For a moment, something vulnerable appeared in his eyes. Gone almost instantly, but she saw it. I was there. The crowd gasped. Aurelia froze. There? His jaw tightened. The night Silvercrest fell. The square erupted. Questions exploded everywhere. What? How? You fought there? The Shadow King ignored them. His attention remained on Aurelia. Only Aurelia. I was 15. His voice grew quieter. You were a baby. A strange sadness entered his expression. The castle was burning. Aurelia felt herself hanging onto every word. He continued, I was supposed to protect the royal family. His fists clenched. I failed. The guilt in his voice was unmistakable. Heavy, old, deep. 20 years of guilt. Aurelia stared at him. For the first time, she didn't see the feared alpha everyone whispered about. She saw a man carrying an old wound. A wound that never healed. The Shadow King looked away briefly, as if ashamed. I searched for you for years. The crowd fell silent again. Years. Not months. Not weeks. Years. Every trail ended. His voice hardened. Someone erased your existence. Aurelia remembered the parchment. The warning. They will finally find you. Whoever had hidden her clearly didn't want her found. But why? And by whom? Then another voice interrupted. He's telling the truth. Everyone turned. The speaker was unexpected. The head priest, the oldest spiritual leader in Moonfall. He slowly stepped forward. His expression was grave. I remember Silvercrest. The crowd listened. The priest pointed toward Aurelia. The moon bond ceremony revealed her because her bloodline awakened. Aurelia frowned. My bloodline? The priest nodded. Royal blood carries ancient gifts. The crowd murmured nervously. Ancient gifts? The Shadow King looked unsurprised. Which meant he already knew. Aurelia noticed immediately. What gifts? Nobody answered. The silence itself became an answer. Something dangerous. Something important. Then Alara laughed. A sharp, bitter sound. This is ridiculous. The crowd shifted. She stepped forward again, angrier than ever. Her humiliation from the rejection ceremony still burned. Everyone could see it. Royal blood? She scoffed. A lost kingdom? Her eyes narrowed at Aurelia. Convenient. Aurelia said nothing. Alara continued. If she's truly special, prove it. The Shadow King's gaze hardened. You already saw proof. No. Ilara pointed at Aurelia. I want real proof. The atmosphere changed. Danger crept into her voice. Jealousy, desperation, hatred, all growing stronger. The Shadow King noticed too. So, what exactly are you suggesting? Ilara smiled, and Aurelia instantly disliked it. The trial stone. Gasps spread through the square. The priest looked alarmed. No. Several elders immediately agreed. Absolutely not. But Alara refused to back down. If she's the true heir, the stone will reveal it. The crowd began whispering. The trial stone. Aurelia had heard stories about it. An ancient relic, older than the packs themselves. A sacred artifact that responded only to truth. Or so legends claimed. The Shadow King remained silent, thinking. Then he surprised everyone, including me. Alara blinked. What? His silver eyes locked onto hers. If she undergoes the trial, so will I. The crowd quieted, confused. The Shadow King continued. Everyone wants proof. He looked toward Aurelia, then Ronan, then the elders. Good. A faint smile touched his lips. Let's uncover every secret. Something about the way he said it made Aurelia uneasy. As if he knew more than anyone else. As if he were waiting for something. Then Ronan finally spoke. His voice was colder than usual. What secret are you talking about? The Shadow King turned toward him. The two alphas stared at each other. The tension became immediate. Dangerous. Then the Shadow King delivered a sentence that stunned the entire square. A secret connected to your family. Ronan's expression changed. Only slightly. But Aurelia saw it. Shock. Real shock. The Shadow King continued. Someone in Moonfall helped destroy Silvercrest. The crowd erupted. Impossible. Traitor. Murderer. Voices rose everywhere. The accusation was explosive. Ronan's eyes narrowed. Careful. The Shadow King didn't move. Didn't flinch. Didn't back down. I am being careful. The two alphas stood face to face, like a storm preparing to break. Then suddenly, a horn sounded from the northern watchtower. Once. Twice. 3 times. Every warrior froze. Because everyone knew what 3 horn blasts meant. Attack. A guard came running into the square. Terrified. Bleeding. Alpha? Ronan turned instantly. What happened? The guard struggled to breathe. Then he pointed toward the northern forest. They found him. The crowd looked confused. Ronan frowned. Found who? The guard's face turned pale. The assassin. Silence. The guard swallowed hard. Then spoke the words that changed everything. He's dead. The square remained quiet, until the guard added one more sentence. One horrifying sentence. And someone carved Aurelia's name into his chest. Chapter 6. For a moment nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Nobody spoke. Aurelia felt the blood drain from her face. What? The word barely escaped her lips. The guard looked shaken, terrified, as if he wished he had never seen the body. Ronan stepped forward. Say it again. The guard swallowed. The assassin is dead. His voice trembled, and Aurelia's name was carved into his chest. The square erupted. People shouted over each other. Some looked horrified. Others looked suspicious. A few immediately backed away from Aurelia, as if she carried a disease, as if she had suddenly become dangerous. Aurelia stared at them, unable to believe what she was seeing. I didn't do anything. Nobody answered. The silence hurt more than accusations, because silence meant doubt. The Shadow King's expression darkened. Take me to the body. The guard nodded immediately. Within minutes, a group headed toward the northern forest. Ronan, the Shadow King, several warriors, the priest, a few elders, and Aurelia. The crowd followed at a distance. Nobody wanted to miss whatever happened next. The night air felt colder now, heavier, as if something evil had entered Moonfall. The group reached a clearing deep within the trees. Torches illuminated the scene. Several warriors stood guard. None looked comfortable. Aurelia immediately saw why. The body lay against an ancient oak tree. The assassin's eyes remained open, frozen in terror, as if he had seen something horrifying before he died. Aurelia felt sick, but then she noticed the chest. The guard hadn't exaggerated. Her name was there, Aurelia, carved deeply into flesh. The sight made her stomach turn. She looked away immediately. No. The whisper escaped her before she could stop it. The Shadow King knelt beside the body, examining everything carefully. His face revealed nothing. Ronan joined him. What do you see? The Shadow King touched one of the wounds. His expression sharpened. Then he stood. Interesting. Nobody liked that word. Especially not now. The priest frowned. What is it? The Shadow King pointed at the assassin. Those wounds. The priest looked closer. Then his eyes widened. Oh! Several elders stepped forward. Confusion spread. Aurelia couldn't understand what they were seeing. Finally, Ronan asked, What? The priest slowly looked up. The assassin wasn't killed by a wolf. The crowd murmured. Then what had killed him? The Shadow King answered. He wasn't killed by a human either. The silence that followed was unsettling. Aurelia felt a chill crawl down her spine. The Shadow King pointed to several deep marks across the body. They're too large. The priest nodded. And too precise. A warrior frowned. What does that mean? The Shadow King's silver eyes moved toward Aurelia. For a brief moment, something strange passed through his expression. Concern. Real concern. Then he looked away. It means something else killed him. The crowd grew restless. Nobody liked mysteries, especially deadly ones. Aurelia wrapped her arms around herself. The forest suddenly felt wrong. The shadows felt deeper. Watching. Waiting. Then one of the younger warriors called out, "There's something else." Everyone turned. The warrior pointed toward the ground. Near the body, a symbol had been drawn into the dirt. A circle. Inside it sat a single star. Aurelia's breath caught. She knew that symbol. She had seen it before. Many times. On her necklace. The same symbol. Exactly the same. The Shadow King noticed her reaction immediately. "You recognize it." It wasn't a question. Aurelia nodded slowly. "It's on the necklace." The priest looked alarmed. The Shadow King looked thoughtful. Then Ronan asked the question everyone wanted answered. "What does it mean?" The Shadow King's face became unreadable. For several seconds he remained silent. Finally he spoke. "It was the royal seal of Silvercrest." Gasps spread through the gathering. Again. Everything pointed back to the fallen kingdom. Back to Aurelia. Back to her bloodline. Then a soft voice broke the silence. "Aurelia?" Everyone turned. The speaker was unexpected. An elderly woman pushed through the crowd. Slowly, carefully. Aurelia recognized her immediately. Mara. The village herbalist. The woman who had occasionally shown her kindness growing up. Mara looked frightened. Very frightened. "Aurelia, I need to tell you something." The crowd quieted. Mara rarely involved herself in village affairs. If she had come here at midnight, it mattered. Aurelia stepped closer. "What is it?" The old woman's hands trembled. "I wasn't going to say anything." Her eyes filled with tears. "But after tonight?" She looked toward the body, then back to Aurelia. "You deserve the truth." Aurelia's pulse quickened. Another truth. Another secret. How many more were there? Mara took a shaky breath. "When your adoptive parents died," Aurelia froze. "They left something with me." The world seemed to stop. "What?" Mara reached beneath her cloak, slowly, carefully. She removed a small leather pouch. Aurelia recognized it instantly. She had seen it years ago, hidden inside her mother's cupboard. Then it vanished after the funeral. Mara held it out. "They told me to give this to you only when the past came looking." Aurelia's hands shook as she accepted it. The leather felt old, worn, important. The crowd watched closely. The Shadow King stepped nearer. Not to interfere, just to see. Aurelia opened the pouch. Inside was a folded letter. Nothing else. Just a single letter. Her throat tightened. The handwriting on the front was familiar. Painfully familiar. Because she recognized it. Her adoptive mother's writing. Tears immediately filled her eyes. Carefully, Aurelia unfolded the paper. The first line nearly broke her. "My sweet daughter, if you are reading this, we have failed to keep you hidden." Aurelia's vision blurred. She forced herself to continue. "Your father and I loved you from the moment we held you. You were never our blood, but you were always our child." Tears slid down her cheeks. The forest remained silent. Nobody interrupted. Nobody moved. Aurelia continued reading. "We promised the queen we would protect you. We promised we would never reveal your identity, no matter the cost." Gasps spread through the crowd. The letter confirmed everything. The queen, the secret, the lie, all of it. Aurelia's hands trembled harder. Then she reached the final section, and everything changed. Her eyes widened. No. The paper nearly slipped from her fingers. The Shadow King noticed immediately. "What is it?" Aurelia stared at the words, unable to breathe, unable to think. The letter contained a name. One name. A name her adoptive parents had hidden for 20 years. The name of the traitor. The person responsible for the fall of Silvercrest. The person who wanted her dead. Aurelia slowly lifted her head. Her gaze moved across the crowd. Past the warriors, past the elders, past the priest, until she reached Alpha Ronan, and the look on her face made his blood run cold. Because the name written in the letter was not his, it was his father's, the former Alpha of Moonfall. Chapter 7. The forest went silent. Completely silent. Even the night insects seemed to stop. Aurelia stared at Ronan, not because she blamed him, not because she hated him, but because she didn't know what else to do. The name in the letter felt like a knife. Alpha Garrick, Ronan's father, former ruler of Moonfall. Dead for 8 years. The man everyone called a hero. The man whose statue stood in the center of the village. The man children learned about in school. The man accused of destroying an entire kingdom. Ronan's face hardened. "Let me see it." His voice was calm. Too calm. Aurelia hesitated, then handed him the letter. The crowd watched, breathless. Ronan read every word. His expression never changed, until he reached the final paragraph. Then his jaw tightened. Only slightly. But Aurelia saw it. So did the Shadow King. The two men exchanged a look. A dangerous look. One filled with years of history. Years Aurelia didn't understand. Finally, Ronan folded the letter. "This proves nothing." The words hit harder than expected. Aurelia blinked. "What?" His gaze met hers. Anyone could write a name. The statement was logical. Reasonable. Yet something inside her hurt anyway. The Shadow King stepped forward. "You know that's not true." Ronan looked at him coldly. "I know accusations aren't evidence." The Shadow King's eyes narrowed. "And I know your father was in Silvercrest the night it fell." The crowd exploded. Shock spread instantly. Ronan's warriors growled. Several stepped forward. The Shadow King's warriors weren't there. But somehow he looked completely unconcerned. As always, the tension between the two alphas became unbearable. Then an elder spoke. "Enough." Everyone turned. The elder looked exhausted, older than before. "We need facts." Nobody argued, because he was right. The elder pointed toward the trial stone, visible atop a distant hill. Moonlight reflected across its surface. Ancient, massive, silent. "The stone reveals truth," the crowd murmured nervously. The elder continued. "Tomorrow," his voice echoed through the clearing, "we hold the trial." Aurelia's stomach tightened. Tomorrow? Everything would be decided tomorrow. The Shadow King nodded. "Agreed." Ronan nodded too. "Agreed." The crowd slowly dispersed afterward. People whispered constantly. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some believed Aurelia, others didn't. Some feared her, others pitied her. Nobody knew what to think anymore. Not even Aurelia. She barely remembered returning to the village. Her mind felt numb. The world had changed too quickly, too completely. By midnight, she sat alone in her room. The letter rested in her hands. Her adoptive mother's words blurred through tears. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. Aurelia quickly wiped her eyes. "Come in." The door opened. She expected Mara, maybe the priest. Instead, the Shadow King entered. Alone, without guards, without ceremony, just him. Aurelia immediately stood. "You shouldn't be here." A faint smile touched his lips. "Probably not." The response surprised her. It sounded almost normal, human. For several seconds neither spoke. Then Aurelia gestured toward the chair. He sat. The tiny room suddenly felt much smaller. The most feared alpha in the territories was sitting inside her servant quarters. The situation felt absurd. Finally, Aurelia asked the question that had haunted her for days. "Why are you really here?" The Shadow King's expression softened. "Not much. Just enough. I told you." "No." Aurelia shook her head. "You didn't." Silence followed. The alpha looked away briefly, as if deciding something. Then he sighed. The sound surprised her, because it carried exhaustion. Old exhaustion. The kind people carried for years. "I made a promise." Aurelia frowned. "To who?" His silver eyes met hers. "Your mother." The answer stunned her. He continued quietly. "The night Silvercrest burned." Aurelia listened carefully. Every word mattered. "I reached the royal nursery too late." Pain flashed across his face. Brief, but real. "The queen handed me a bundle." His voice lowered. "A baby." Aurelia's breath caught. "Herself." The Shadow King nodded slightly, as if reading her thoughts. She knew she wouldn't survive. The room felt colder. The queen made me swear. His fists tightened. She made me swear I would protect her daughter. Aurelia stared at him, unable to look away. The Shadow King laughed softly, a sad laugh. I failed within the hour. The guilt in his voice was devastating. Aurelia suddenly understood. This wasn't duty. This wasn't politics. This wasn't strategy. For 20 years, this man had carried a promise he couldn't keep, a wound that never healed. The realization changed something inside her. Not trust. Not yet. But understanding. For the first time, she saw beyond the terrifying reputation, beyond the stories, beyond the Shadow King. She saw a lonely man carrying too much pain, and somehow, that made him easier to understand. The silence between them became gentler, less awkward. Then he reached into his coat. Aurelia immediately tensed. He noticed. A faint smile appeared. It's a gift. A gift? The Shadow King removed a small wooden box. Old, worn, carefully preserved. He handed it to her. Aurelia opened it slowly. Inside rested a silver hairpin. Simple, elegant, beautiful. Tears instantly filled her eyes. Because she recognized it. Not from memory. From the vision. The queen had been wearing it. Her mother. The Shadow King watched her carefully. It belonged to Celine. Aurelia gently touched the hairpin. Emotion overwhelmed her. For the first time, her mother felt real. Not a story. Not a mystery. Real. The Shadow King quietly stood. I should leave. Aurelia nodded. But before he reached the door, wait. He stopped. Turned. Aurelia swallowed. What's your real name? The question seemed to surprise him. Everyone called him the Shadow King. Nobody asked beyond that. For a moment he simply stared. Then he answered. Kale. Aurelia repeated it softly. Kale. Something about using his name felt different. More personal. More honest. Kale nodded once, then left. The room felt emptier afterward. Aurelia sat on her bed, holding the hairpin, holding the letter, trying to process everything. Eventually exhaustion pulled her toward sleep, but sometime before dawn, she woke suddenly. A sound had disturbed her. Footsteps. Outside, Aurelia sat up. The room was dark, quiet. She approached the window carefully, and froze. A figure stood beneath the moonlight, watching her room, motionless, waiting. Aurelia couldn't see the face, only the silhouette. Then the figure stepped forward. Moonlight illuminated familiar features. Ronan. Her pulse quickened. What was he doing here? Before she could wonder further, Ronan lifted something, a piece of paper. Then he pinned it to her door and disappeared into the darkness. Confused, Aurelia rushed outside. The village remained asleep. The night remained silent. The paper fluttered softly in the wind. Aurelia removed it, opened it. Read the message. And her heart nearly stopped. Meet me at sunrise. There is something about your mother that Kale never told you. Ronan, Chapter 8. Aurelia didn't sleep again. She sat beside the window until dawn. The note remained in her hands. Folded. Unfolded. Read 100 times. There is something about your mother that Kale never told you. The words wouldn't leave her mind. Why now? Why not before? And why secretly? The first rays of sunlight appeared over the mountains. Aurelia made her decision. She would go. Not because she trusted Ronan. Not completely. But because too many secrets already surrounded her life. She needed answers. Even painful ones. Especially painful ones. The meeting place was an old watchtower overlooking the eastern cliffs. Abandoned. Quiet. Far from curious ears. When Aurelia arrived, Ronan was already there, standing near the edge, looking out over the valley below. For a moment she simply watched him, the man who had rejected her. The man who had unknowingly shattered her heart. The man whose family name now stood tangled in the destruction of her kingdom. Everything felt complicated. Nothing felt simple anymore. Ronan turned when he heard her approach. You came. Aurelia folded her arms. You said you knew something. He nodded, but he didn't speak immediately. That irritated her. Ronan. His gaze lifted to hers. What I'm about to tell you won't be easy. Aurelia almost laughed. Nothing about her life had been easy lately. Just tell me. A long silence followed. Then Ronan spoke. My father wasn't the only Moonfall wolf in Silvercrest that night. Aurelia frowned. What does that mean? It means I was there too. The world seemed to stop. What? His expression remained serious. I was 14. Aurelia stared. That's impossible. I remember it clearly. The confession stunned her. She had assumed Ronan knew only family stories. Second-hand information. Not personal memories. But this was different. I thought Silvercrest fell 20 years ago. It did. Aurelia blinked. Then understanding hit. Hard. You were there as a child. Ronan nodded. My father brought me. Aurelia's stomach twisted. Why? His jaw tightened. I didn't know at the time. The answer felt incomplete, yet honest. Ronan looked toward the horizon, lost in old memories. The castle was beautiful. His voice grew distant. There were gardens everywhere. Aurelia listened carefully. The royal family welcomed us. The statement surprised her. Welcomed? Not enemies? Not rivals? Ronan continued. My father smiled. Bitterness entered his voice. He smiled all day. Aurelia felt a chill. Then Ronan looked at her. Directly. There was a little girl. Her pulse quickened. You. The word hung between them. Heavy. Real. Impossible. Ronan swallowed. I remember. Because you stole my wooden wolf. Aurelia blinked. What? For the first time in days, genuine amusement touched his face. Briefly. You were 2. Aurelia stared. You kept hiding it. A strange sensation spread through her chest. Fragments. Tiny fragments. Half memories. A wooden toy. Laughter. Sunlight. A garden. Gone before she could fully grasp them. Ronan noticed her reaction. You remember something. A little. His expression softened. A dangerous thing. Because it reminded her of why she once loved him. Then the softness vanished. Ronan's face darkened again. That night everything changed. Aurelia's stomach tightened. The attack? He nodded. The castle burned. His voice lowered. People died. Pain flashed through his eyes. Real pain. Not fake, not forced. Aurelia suddenly realized something. Ronan had been carrying scars too. Different scars, but scars nonetheless. Then his expression hardened. And I saw Kale. Aurelia froze. What? Ronan nodded. I saw him. Her heartbeat accelerated. You mean during the attack? Yes. The answer hit like lightning. Aurelia stared, unable to speak. Ronan stepped closer. He was there before the fires started. No. The thought came immediately. No. That couldn't be right, could it? Ronan watched her carefully. I never forgot it. His voice remained calm, measured. I saw him arguing with someone. Aurelia's pulse thundered. Who? I couldn't see. The frustration in his voice felt genuine. It was too dark. Aurelia tried to process everything. Kale had been there. Of course he had. He already admitted that. But Ronan was implying something else. Something dangerous. Something terrible. You think he was involved? The words escaped before she could stop them. Ronan didn't answer immediately. That silence became an answer. Aurelia looked away, confused, lost. Part of her wanted to reject the idea instantly. Kale had saved her, protected her, searched for her. Yet another part whispered something uncomfortable. She barely knew him. The realization hurt, because it was true. Then a voice interrupted. Interesting theory. Aurelia spun around. Kale stood at the tower entrance. His silver eyes fixed on Ronan. Neither man looked surprised. Which meant both expected this. The tension between them was immediate. Dangerous. Ronan crossed his arms. You were following us. Kale shrugged. I was protecting her. The response irritated Ronan instantly. Aurelia noticed. So did Kale. Neither looked away. The rivalry between them had become personal now. Not political. Personal. Kale stepped forward. Tell her the whole story. Ronan's jaw tightened. I am? No. Kale's voice sharpened. You're telling half of it. Silence followed. Aurelia looked between them, frustration growing. Someone tell me what's happening. Neither answered. For several seconds. Then Kale reached into his coat. Aurelia immediately recognized the motion. Documents, evidence, secrets. Always secrets. Kale removed a folded piece of parchment. Old, worn. He handed it to Aurelia. Read it. Her hands trembled. The parchment looked ancient. A royal seal marked the bottom. Silvercrest. Slowly she opened it. The first line made her blood run cold. Military alliance agreement. Aurelia frowned, then continued reading. The names appeared halfway down. King Orion of Silvercrest. Alpha Garrick of Moonfall. Aurelia stopped breathing. It was a treaty, a partnership, an alliance. Not enemies. Friends. The realization hit instantly. If Garrick and Orion were allies, then why would Garrick betray him? The question exploded inside her mind. Kale watched carefully. Keep reading. Aurelia obeyed. Near the bottom sat a second document attached to the treaty. A private letter. Written by King Orion, addressed to Alpha Garrick. The handwriting was hurried, urgent, desperate. Aurelia read aloud. If anything happens to us, protect my daughter. Silence. Her voice trembled. She is family. The words echoed across the tower. Family. Not ally. Not friend. Family. Aurelia looked up, confused, lost. What does this mean? Neither Alpha answered immediately. Then Kale finally spoke. The truth. Aurelia's pulse quickened. What truth? Kale's silver eyes met hers. And what he said next shattered everything she thought she understood. Your mother and Ronan's father were brother and sister. The world stopped. Aurelia stared. Ronan stared. Even the wind seemed to vanish. Kale continued quietly. Which means, Aurelia already knew. The realization crashed into her. Huge. Impossible. Life-changing. Her voice barely worked. No! Kale nodded slowly. Painfully. Yes. Tears filled Aurelia's eyes. Because if Kale was telling the truth, then the man she had secretly loved for years, the man who rejected her before the entire pack, the man tied to every mystery surrounding her past, wasn't her mate, wasn't her enemy, wasn't a stranger. Ronan was her cousin, and neither of them had known. Chapter 9. The tower fell silent. Aurelia couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't move. Cousins. The word echoed through her mind again and again. Everything she believed about the moon bond ceremony suddenly shattered. Ronan wasn't her mate. He couldn't be. Not if they shared blood. Not if they were family. It made no sense. None of it. Aurelia looked at Ronan. He seemed just as stunned. His face had gone pale. For the first time since she'd known him, he looked completely unprepared. What are you saying? He asked. Kale's expression remained calm. The truth. Ronan laughed bitterly. No. His voice sharpened. That's impossible. Kale didn't react. Instead, he looked at Aurelia. The reason your bond turned black wasn't rejection. Aurelia's heart pounded. What? The moon goddess was stopping something forbidden. Silence. The realization spread through the tower. Slow. Terrible. Unavoidable. The black flame, the broken bond, the ceremony. Everything suddenly fit together. The priest had been wrong. The elders had been wrong. The entire pack had been wrong. Ronan never rejected his true mate. Because Aurelia had never been his mate to begin with. Aurelia felt dizzy. Years of secret feelings. Years of hope. Years of heartbreak. Built on a misunderstanding. Then, another thought hit her. Hard. If Ronan isn't my mate? Her voice barely worked. Kale's silver eyes met hers. The atmosphere changed instantly. Aurelia noticed. So did Ronan. Nobody spoke. Nobody needed to. The answer hung between them. Heavy. Dangerous. Then a howl shattered the silence. All three turned. The sound came from Moonfall Village. Another followed, then another. Emergency signals. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Kale moved first. Ronan immediately followed. Aurelia ran after them. The three rushed down the hill toward the village. Smoke appeared before they arrived. Dark smoke. Too much smoke. Aurelia's stomach dropped. No. Villagers ran through the streets. Children cried. Warriors shouted orders. Buildings burned. Chaos consumed Moonfall. Ronan grabbed the nearest guard. What happened? The guard looked terrified. We were attacked. Ronan's eyes narrowed. By who? The guard shook his head. We don't know. Kale was already scanning the area, searching, calculating, looking for patterns. Aurelia noticed something else. The attackers hadn't stolen anything. Markets remained untouched. Homes remained full. No supplies had been taken. No territory claimed. This wasn't a raid. It was a message. Then a scream echoed nearby. Everyone turned. An elder stumbled into the square, covered in blood. People rushed to help him. The old man grabbed Ronan's arm. They took it. Ronan frowned. Took what? The elder pointed toward the temple. The trial stone. The crowd gasped. Impossible. The trial stone weighed several tons. Moving it should have been impossible. Yet somehow someone had done it. Kale's expression darkened immediately. That's not good. Aurelia looked at him. Why? His answer chilled her. Because they don't need the stone. What do you mean? Kale's gaze moved toward her. They need you. A cold feeling spread through Aurelia's chest. Then another voice interrupted. A frightened priest. The vault. Everyone turned. The priest looked horrified. The sacred vault was opened. Ronan swore. Kale's face hardened. What was inside? The priest's answer came instantly. The blood records. Silence. Pure silence. Aurelia didn't know what those were, but everyone else's reaction told her enough. The elders looked terrified. The warriors looked confused. Ronan looked furious. Kale looked worried. Actually worried. Aurelia had never seen that expression on him before. What are blood records? She asked. The priest swallowed. Ancient lineage documents. Aurelia frowned. And? The priest's voice trembled. They reveal true bloodlines. Understanding hit immediately. Someone stole proof. Proof of who she was. Proof of her family. Proof of her claim. Then Kale said something unexpected. No. Everyone looked at him. His expression had become grim. Very grim. They weren't looking for proof. The priest blinked. What? Kale's voice lowered. They were looking for one specific page. The realization seemed to strike him instantly. His eyes widened. For the first time since Aurelia met him. He looked genuinely alarmed. Kale, she whispered. He turned toward her, and she didn't like what she saw. Fear. Real fear. Then everything happened at once. An arrow shot from a rooftop. Kale reacted instantly. He shoved Aurelia aside. The arrow struck his shoulder. Deep. The impact nearly knocked him off his feet. Aurelia screamed. Kale! Warriors surged forward. Chaos erupted again. The attacker vanished immediately. Like every assassin before, Kale dropped to one knee. Blood soaked his black coat. Aurelia rushed toward him. Without thinking. Without hesitation. Ronan arrived seconds later. The wound looked bad. Very bad. Yet Kale wasn't staring at the arrow. He was staring at the blood coating it. His expression changed. Aurelia's heart sank. What is it? Kale's face had gone pale. The color drained from his eyes. His jaw tightened. No. The word escaped quietly, almost a whisper. Aurelia grabbed his arm. What? Kale slowly touched the blood, then looked at his fingertips. The crowd waited, terrified. Then, Kale delivered words that froze everyone present. It's Moonbane. Gasps erupted. Moonbane. The deadliest poison known to wolves. One drop could kill. Aurelia felt sick. No. Kale ignored her. His attention focused somewhere far away. Thinking. Calculating. Realizing. Then suddenly he grabbed her wrist. Hard. Urgently. His silver eyes locked onto hers. Aurelia. Fear flooded his voice, the kind of fear that only comes when it's already too late. You need to run. Aurelia's pulse spiked. What? Now. The village fell silent. Even Ronan looked confused. Kale struggled to his feet. Blood continued pouring from the wound. His breathing had become uneven. The poison was already spreading. Then he spoke words that changed everything. The person hunting you isn't after the throne. Aurelia stared. Then what do they want? Kale's face hardened. His grip tightened. And then he revealed the final secret. The secret hidden for 20 years. The secret powerful enough to destroy kingdoms. They want what lives inside your blood. Aurelia's breath caught. What lives inside my blood? Kale looked directly into her eyes and answered. The last dragon wolf. The entire village went silent. Because everyone knew dragon wolves were extinct. Every one of them. Except, apparently, Aurelia. Chapter 10. The world stopped. Dragon wolf. The words echoed across Moonfall. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Because dragon wolves were legends. Ancient stories. Creatures parents told children about beside winter fires. Powerful. Impossible. Extinct. For over 1,000 years. And now Kale was saying one still existed. Inside Aurelia. No. Aurelia shook her head. No. It was all she could say. Too much had happened. Too many secrets. Too many lies. Too many impossible truths. Kale struggled to remain standing. The moonbane poison was spreading fast. His skin had grown pale. His breathing shallow. Yet his focus never left Aurelia. You have to listen. His voice sounded weaker now. The dragon wolf bloodline protected Silvercrest. The crowd remained frozen. Even the elders looked stunned. Kale continued. That's why the kingdom was destroyed. Aurelia stared. The pieces began falling together. The hidden identity. The murdered royal family. The stolen records. The assassins. The relentless hunt. None of it was about a throne. It was about power. The power inside her. Then, the priest whispered something. A prayer. An old prayer. His eyes filled with tears. The guardian blood. Kale nodded. Yes. The priest looked at Aurelia with awe. Not fear. Not pity. Awe. The stories were true. The old man trembled. The guardian blood survived. Then Kale collapsed. The village exploded into motion. Aurelia dropped beside him instantly. Kale! His eyes fluttered. Barely conscious. The poison was winning. Fast. A healer rushed forward. Another followed. Both examined the wound. Their expressions darkened immediately. Ronan saw it too. Tell me. The healers exchanged nervous looks. Finally one answered. There is no cure. Aurelia's heart shattered. No, no, no. Not after everything. Not now. Kale had searched for her, protected her, believed in her. She couldn't lose him. Not now. Then something strange happened. The necklace around Aurelia's neck grew warm. Very warm. The familiar blue light appeared, brighter than ever before. Everyone noticed. Aurelia looked down. The stone pulsed rapidly, almost like a heartbeat. Then pain shot through her chest. A sharp, burning sensation. She gasped. The world blurred. And suddenly, she heard a voice. Not outside. Inside. Ancient. Powerful. Female. Awaken. Aurelia froze. The voice echoed again. Awaken. Blue light exploded from the necklace. A powerful shockwave swept through the village. People stumbled backward. Torches extinguished. Windows shattered. The ground trembled. Aurelia cried out. Pain surged through every part of her body. Then heat followed. Intense heat. Her skin glowed. Silver, gold, blue. The colors danced around her. Wild, beautiful, ancient. The crowd stared in stunned silence. No one had ever seen anything like it. Aurelia felt power awakening inside her. Sleeping power. Forgotten power. Power older than kingdoms. Older than packs. Older than history itself. Then instinct took over. Without understanding why, she reached toward Kale. placed her hand above the poisoned wound. The blue light rushed from her palm. Into him. The reaction was immediate. The poison stopped spreading. Gasps erupted. The black veins covering Kale's skin began retreating. Slowly, steadily, healing. The healers stared, speechless. The priest dropped to his knees. Tears streamed down his face. The guardian. Aurelia barely heard him. The power continued flowing. Warm, gentle, protective. Finally, the last traces of poison vanished. Kale's breathing steadied. Color returned to his face. The impossible had happened. She had cured Moonbane, something no healer had ever achieved. The village stood frozen, watching, understanding, believing. At last. Aurelia slowly lowered her hand. The light faded. The silence remained. Then Kale opened his eyes. Relief crashed through her so suddenly that tears spilled down her cheeks. He was alive. Alive. For a moment neither spoke. Neither looked away. The connection between them felt different now. Stronger. Clearer. Not forced. Not rushed. Earned. Built through trust. Through sacrifice. Through time. Then Kale smiled. A real smile. The first completely genuine smile Aurelia had ever seen from him. You always were stubborn. Aurelia laughed through tears. The sound surprised both of them. Then another voice interrupted. A familiar voice. Ronan. Everyone turned. The Alpha of Moonfall stepped forward. His expression was calm, resolved, different. He looked at Aurelia, then at Kale, then back at Aurelia. Finally he knelt. The crowd gasped. An Alpha kneeling was rare. An Alpha like Ronan kneeling was almost unheard of. His voice carried across the square. Aurelia. She stared, confused. Ronan lowered his head. On behalf of Moonfall. The crowd listened, silent. On behalf of my family. His voice tightened. On behalf of every wrong committed against yours. Aurelia saw genuine regret in his eyes. Real regret. Not obligation. Not politics. Truth. I ask forgiveness. The words carried enormous weight. The crowd understood. So did Aurelia. For years she had dreamed about Ronan noticing her, choosing her, loving her. Now she finally saw the truth. What she needed was never his love, only his respect. And at last, she had it. Aurelia stepped forward, gently, then offered her hand. Ronan accepted it, slowly rising. The past settled between them, not erased, never erased, but healed, at peace. Then the priest approached, holding something wrapped in silver cloth. His hands trembled. Your Majesty. The title still sounded strange, yet somehow right. The priest uncovered the object. A crown. The lost crown of Silvercrest, recovered from the sacred vault. The crowd fell silent. Aurelia stared. The same crown from her mother's vision. The same crown from the stories. The same crown that should have vanished forever. The priest smiled softly. It belongs to you. Tears filled Aurelia's eyes again. Not from sadness, not this time. The priest carefully placed the crown upon her head. The moment it settled into place, the necklace glowed, the crown glowed, and the entire village erupted. Cheers, applause, celebration, not because of power, not because of blood, but because hope had returned. Aurelia looked around, at the people, at Moonfall, at the future. Then she felt a hand gently touch hers. Kale. She turned toward him. His silver eyes held warmth now. Respect. Trust. Something deeper beginning to grow. Slowly. Naturally. The way real love should. No grand speeches. No instant declarations. Just a promise. A future. A choice. Together. Months later, the truth about Silvercrest finally emerged. The real traitors were exposed. The last conspirators were captured. The stolen kingdom began rebuilding, and for the first time in 20 years, peace returned. As for Aurelia, the servant everyone mocked, the Omega everyone ignored, the girl rejected before an entire pack, she became something far greater than anyone imagined. A queen, a guardian, a leader, And eventually, the Luna of the one man who never stopped searching for her. The same man who once carried the weight of a broken promise. The same man who crossed kingdoms to find her. The same man who chose her long before destiny revealed her name. And on the night they stood beneath the stars together, watching a restored Silvercrest shine once more, Kale finally whispered the words he had waited years to say. I found you. Aurelia smiled, resting her head against his shoulder. No. Her eyes lifted toward the moon. Bright. Peaceful. Home. You came home. The end.